All right. Well, would you like to start us off with a land acknowledgement?
Oh, with pleasure. Upchilasi, everyone. Welcome. Bienvenue, tout le monde. Today, I greet you from Kipuktuk, also known as Halifax, the traditional and unceded territory here in Nova Scotia. We'll have to learn actually what Vancouver is called. So we can do a true C to C, and I'll have to chat with Kevin to see what our other C is called. So we can do a proper land acknowledgement. Because when we get together, and we have a really nice English and French and Spanish, actually. So a really nice multilingual, proper family table today, which we're really happy to bring to you. So very, very welcome hearty welcome to everyone today. Becky, did you have some housekeeping and then I'll take care of, then I'll pass it over to Alice?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Welcome to all our participants, panelists, and others today. I just have one quick announcement before we get started, which is our upcoming CMBES conference for 2025 will be taking place May 27th to May 29th in Fredericton. And this year's conference is focused on innovations in health, improving patient outcomes through sustainable design and appropriate adoption. We want to take this opportunity to emphasize some of the conference programming of interest to our biomedical engineering technologist community. And the conference team is I think the conference team has been assembled at this point. But if you are interested in volunteering your time for this event, please reach out to our CMBES secretariat. The other announcement I have is that you may want to check out our YouTube channel for the previous CMBES webinar slides and recordings. And Michael, I'll hand it back to
Thank,
you.
Thanks, Becky. Yes, we've been going on the conference for a little bit, those of us who are on various committees. So, which is great because we have some fantastic content, very appropriate for engineers, techs, researchers. Like it's a really, really nice mix of talks. If you can't find something that's interesting during your hour, I would be surprised. And if so, we have our fabulous vendor hall as always, so you can chat with some very intriguing vendors and product experts. I'm actually not going to do most of the Q&A today, which is a little bit different. Alice is actually going to do that for us today, but I will remind everyone, same as always, please do not use the chat to submit your questions. There's a question and answer box. Please use that. So Alice is going to watch that all the way through. And so Becky and I, our heads are going to disappear and we're going to keep a 4-person panel. So Alice is going to moderate for us. And then we have Christina, Stephanie, and Frédérique, who are going to be our speakers today, whom I will introduce at the moment. Christina, actually, we still didn't figure out the date, but she and I met a million years ago when we first moved out of the Jodhpur Hospital for the Access conferences. It's when we first started to call ourselves Access. And that was at in St. John's, lovely St. John's, held just at the university. So Christina has over 22 years of progressive experience in healthcare with many various leadership roles in private and public healthcare industries. So she currently works for Newfoundland Labrador Health Services as Director of Support Services. She's previously held, I have a bit to go through, Christine, so I'm not going to read it all. She's held a lot. She's had a lot of wonderful progressive responsibility positions, and it's really, really nice to see. I will highlight her education though. So Christina has an electronics and biomedical engineering technology diploma, Bachelor of Technology and Master of Technology Management. She has a modern management and change leadership certificates from Canada Health Association. She also has her Canada Health Executive certification as the only certified biomedical engineering technologist in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So kudos to Christine for that. Frédérique is a medical physicist. Welcome, bienvenue. And the radiation safety officer for the CHUM, the University of Montreal Hospital Center. Sounds so odd to hear that in English, not en français, but anyway, she has a master's degree in medical physics awarded from Université de Montréal. She started her career at the CHUM Biomedical Engineering Department, where she was able to contribute to the mega construction project. And those with enough platinum highlights will remember how mega construction project that was. And she eventually took on the position of radiation safety officer. So again, she has so many accolades. Like I can't read them all, and I don't want to steal too much time from the speaking part. But one thing I think, so Frédérique feels that the need to add her set of tools of managing skills and completing a micro program in organizational leadership from the Heck School of Business. So it's nice to see, and you see with our three speakers today, as they progress through their careers, they see opportunities, not just they make opportunities out of challenges, which is fantastic, and that's a sign of any great leader. Stephanie Liddle, for instance, our third speaker, welcome Stephanie, is the director of the Biomedical Engineering Department at the University of Ottawa Heart Institute, Canada's largest heart health center dedicated to understanding, treating, and preventing heart disease. She holds a Master's of Health Sciences degree in clinical engineering from the University of Toronto and a Bachelor of Electrical and Biomedical Engineering degree from McMaster. Stephanie is a P.Eng, a recognized CCE, a Certified Clinical Engineer in Canada and the US, and a recipient of the 2024 CMBES Outstanding Canadian Biomedical Engineering Award, with over 10 years experience in leading academic hospitals. And one of the things that she notes is she strongly believes in the proper implementation and maintenance of medical devices, systems, or applications can improve patient safety, care, quality, and hospital and research efficiency, and that biomedical engineers and technologists are ideally suited to take this on. And I fully support that. And that, in my sense, is what we all strive for, because, and many who know me will have heard me say this before, people who express that sentiment, I feel particularly close to, because they, like me, will say, that's my patient on that table too. I'm not holding the scalpel, but everything I do is for that patient's best care possible. So that's fantastic to have people like Stephanie, as well as Frédérique and Christina in leadership positions. So with that, Alice, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. Good morning to those here in the West Coast and up to Central Canada, and good afternoon to all others. I don't want to take any time, so we can go straight to the first presentation. It'll be from Christina.
Can you see my screen, Alice? Yep. Okay,
Yes.
good. Excellent. Hi, I'm Christina Cole. Nice to meet everybody today. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about women in STEM leadership. Okay, and so summary of topics, just a quick highlight, will be a little bit about me. Some things that attracted me to leadership, some barriers that I've faced over the years, as well as advice for other women. So a little bit about me. So my education is, I started as a biomedical engineering technologist with a diploma in that. Then I moved on and I got my Bachelor of Technology, as well as my Master's of Technology Management. And I'm currently enrolled and actually working toward my PhD in health sciences. So that's a big challenge for me, especially working full time. But I'm always up for the challenge, so it adds a little bit of fun to the day for sure. And I have a few certifications under my belt. I always try to, anybody asks, do I want to get certified in something? I always raise my hand and say, sure, let's do it. So I always look at education as something that definitely helps helps you for sure. Not even so much in your career, it helps with your personal life, it helps with everything. Just the education behind you, I think, is very, very important, and it is to me, and it's near and dear to my heart. So I always like to make sure, I always encourage people for sure to always better themselves with education for sure. And then we'll go into a little bit about my work experience. So for my work experience, as Michael alluded to, and I think he dated me a little bit. So in my work experience, I started off in actually biomedical engineering technology, and I was a frontline biomed. I worked private industry to start in Ontario with Fresenius Medical Care. Then I left that, and I decided that I didn't want to stay in Ontario forever, so I wanted to move back home. So I moved back home, where my family were all located in Newfoundland, and got a job as a frontline biomed. So I left the dialysis world, where I specialized in dialysis, and moved into the field for biomedical. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And as a matter of fact, I guess a little bit go back to the education piece. I always, like, I worked on my degree while I was a biomed, and worked on my master's while I was a manager. And I never really thought about it as such. Like, to me, it was never like I hated my job. I got to get an education so I can get out of it. It was never like that. I always loved my job. I always did it because I said, maybe I'm always the type of person, I'm not sure if anybody else is on the call, but I'm always the type of person that every now and then I like to have a change. So when you got a little bit of education behind you, I always joke and say it's my plan B. So if you want to, at least then your options are opened, right? So for different avenues. So, and that's why I try to do it. I try to do it a little bit generically as well. So that way it opens me up, and I can get a little bit of experience in whatever, I guess, opportunity opens up. So I try not to tie myself down to say, okay, well, this is the opportunity I want. I'm planning for that in 5 years. I'm not that type of person. I kind of take it day by day. If an opportunity arises, I jump. If it doesn't, I'm satisfied where I am, that sort of thing. So I try to, sustain that way. So I worked as a biomed. Then after biomedical, I moved then into management. I actually, believe it or not, I went into IT management, did that for several years. And then I managed in HR for a little bit. And then I managed biomed. And I also, my last job before, I did a little bit. I managed in business relationship management, which was really fun because that gave me a different skill set. I got to build relationships within the organization and outside the organization. As well, then I went into innovation, a manager within innovation, healthcare innovation. So that was really fun because you got to do all kinds of really fun projects, and you got to see the whole organization. Like, it's similar to biomed, actually, the innovation piece, right? And so I really enjoyed that as well. And then my new, I guess, job now is I'm director for support services. So under support services flows into, I have biomedical. I have a team of 35 biomeds, and I also have a multimedia team. I have an infrastructure team, and they take care of the quality aspect of infrastructure. And I also take care of, I'm also the lead for, we're actually going through a full implementation within our organization, as we just became one organization provincially. So under NL Health Services, I'm the lead for biomedical and Epic install, because we're going with one health record right across the province. So it's an amazing initiative. Very busy for sure, but anybody knows me knows I love being busy. So, and also, I volunteer quite a bit, as much as I can. I try to open that opportunity as much as I can. Now that I'm doing my PhD, I'm not as frequently, like, you can only do so much. I only have so many hours in a day. But I do volunteer for for the biomedical exam for the examiners, the CBET. So I volunteer. I'm on the board for that, for the exams. And I've previously, in the past, I've volunteered for Project Management Institute within Newfoundland. I've also volunteered for um, MON. I do a lot of volunteering for MON, different women's organizations throughout the province, and that sort of thing. So I do a lot of work that way. I also teach in a couple of different places at MUN and at the Canadian Health Association in Ottawa. So I do a little bit of everything. I like to keep a little busy. And this here is a picture of me at my graduation, and another picture of myself and my manager underneath me. She's my regional manager. She's awesome, another great leader in technology for sure. And behind us is the intuitive robot. So we just we're going live April 14th with this beautiful technology. So we were really excited and had a it's in shipping and receiving, so I had to get a photo op. So I guess the first thing that attracted me to leadership, I guess definitely is passion for innovation. And I see that in biomedical. I know a lot of people when they're in innovation, they think that, it's something new to the organization. What they don't realize is biomedical. I've been in biomedical for many years, and biomedical's always being innovative and always trying to think of innovative ways. It's just we quietly do it. So it's really good like that. So I definitely have a passion for innovation and trying different things. And like what I really like to do, and this is my leadership style, is I like to try things, and if it don't work, you fail fast and then you do it again. You fix it again. Like you can't just do things and just say, well, that's it, right? But you got to fail fast and then fix it and just keep doing it, right? Keep trucking along. So, and that's one thing you definitely learn when you're in innovation, for sure, is you learn things, you try things quickly, and you move on. And yeah, so that's definitely also the opportunity to drive change. I always love that, is drive and change, especially in the healthcare world. And like as Michael alluded to earlier, like again, the passion for like the patient, like the power of purpose, like the power of purpose within for patients. And that's my purpose in the organization as well, is absolutely for it's all about the patient, because at the end of the day, either yourself, some of your family members could be on the table in an OR or something like that, or any technology, and you want to make sure that that's your purpose for being within healthcare for sure. Some barriers definitely that I'd like to talk a little bit about. Imposter syndrome and confidence gap. So I'm sure a lot of people on the call have imposter syndrome, and a little bit about that, or like the confidence gap. And like I remember when I first started in biomedical, I mean, my confidence wasn't, I mean, I what I am now is not what I was when I started 20 years ago. I was always nervous, I was always afraid, and I was always lucky I had really good mentors throughout in biomedical. Very difficult to find a female role model, but I did have some male role models that were really absolutely fantastic and always gave me the opportunity, which was actually good. So even if it's not a female role model, as long as they respect you as a female, it's always good. And so they always built my confidence, because I remember when I used to be there and I'd be in the biomedical shop and there'd be a piece of equipment come in and it was broken. And I'd be like, oh, I'd be frightened to death. Like I'd be like afraid to touch it. And they looked at me and they laughed and they said, what are you afraid to touch it for? It's already broken. Just fix it. Like if you do worse, like you can't do any worse. It's already broken. And I was like, oh, true. I never looked at it that way. So, you just got sometimes the confidence and imposter syndrome is just a flip of a mindset. You need to change your mindset on things. It's the same thing with imposter syndrome. Like I look at now doing my PhD, a lot of times, like my supervisor's, he's a radiologist and very intelligent man. And I'm sitting there, wow, like I can't do this. But then I get there and I think, and I'm like, no, wait, now I can do this. I can do this. Lots of other people do it. I can do it. Right. And it's the same thing as well. Like when I used to interview for jobs, when I first started, obviously my career wasn't really good at selling myself. And not to say that I'm fantastic now, but I'm a little bit better. I've gained a little bit of knowledge into it and done a little bit of research and learning on it. And the one thing I did learn over the years was I got to change my mindset on things, because the way I used to look at it is when someone was interviewing me, I was always thinking they were better than me. They know more than me. And then I thought about it and I said, wait, now that's not the case. I know a lot, and I get up and I put my pants on one leg at a time just as well as they do. So I can take on these challenges as well. So then when I flipped my mindset to change, it actually gave me a little bit more confidence and takes a little bit away from the imposter syndrome. But you definitely got to consider that for sure. And you got to remember that everyone's on the equal playing field. And when you're going in for interviews or different things like that, and you're trying to sell yourself. There's also gender biases and stereotypes. I've always worked in a male dominated field. Actually, you'll get to my next slide because my last slide, when I get to my last slide, there's something new that's not always gender bias or stereotypes, but I'll save that for the end. But I've always generally worked into a male dominant fields. At most times, sometimes I was the only female in the biomedical shop, or even when I was in IT, like I'd be the minority in all the meetings. Like I'll go to meetings or I go on training. And I remember I went on Phillips training once and it was in a big lecture theater. That's where they started. All the training goes into a welcome and you go in and it was this huge lecture theater. And I looked around and I'm like, oh my. I'm like, there was only like you could count women on your hand on one hand, how many women there were in the room. Right. So, and I've always been the type to, don't let that I don't back down. I'll just, again, it's the imposter syndrome. You got to remember you're just as good, if not better, in my opinion. So you just got to keep that in the back of your mind. And I did have a good instructor in school when I was in biomedical, and he always geared us because we actually had a graduating class. I think we were a class of 12, and there was one male. It was a female dominated class. He said in his whole career, and he was getting ready to retire, he said, this is the first time I've ever seen this in biomedical engineering technologists. He said that there was only one male. So, I mean, he prepped us for the world because he knew what we were going to face when we got out there, and he wasn't wrong. And I really don't feel he was wrong to point it out either, because he pointed it out and he's like, you have to know things. Like, you have to know your screwdrivers, like something simple like that. You know what a Phillips is, know what a flat is. No, like he used to prep us some things, like prep us so we'd be aware of things when we got out into the field, because he knew what we were going to face in a male dominated field, right? So it was really good advice, and I took most of it. I did learn my screwdrivers, and and then you just keep up with some of that stuff, right? Like you want to stay ahead and stay on top of some of that, right? And also, I do find that there is a lack of female role models or mentors throughout my career. Now, I can't say I never had any. I just have to say within my field of work, because I do have female role models, but they're probably in like a clinical world or a clinical field, like that sort of thing within healthcare. So they may not necessarily be within mine, which does put a different spin on things. So it does make it's definitely a barrier in that you don't really have a lot of female, so that you can actually go to them and talk and say like, this is my problem, right? This is what I'm going through. Like I have this imposter syndrome. How do I get over it? That sort of thing. Just to grab a little bit of advice every now and then, right? So it is definitely a barrier for sure. And in some advice, as you can tell, I'm a runner. So I like to run half marathons and some 5Ks, 10Ks, stuff like that. So my advice to people on the webinar for sure is definitely build your confidence. Understand your business that you're into. Understand, like when I got into IT, like there was lots of times, don't get me wrong, like I sat into a room. I remember when I first got out of school and I took a role in dialysis. I think I was like a month or 2 months sitting down, and we'd be in meetings, we'd be in staff meetings, and they were talking and I didn't know what they were saying. I was sitting there like, I don't have, and of course, and again, I'm going to date myself. Mike, don't make fun. But there was no Google then. So you couldn't just Google it now like you can now. So it was like I had to go home and figure out what I was doing, kind of thing, right? So you had to do like read my books. I had to read my technical manuals and different things like that. Like I used to take them home and read them and try to figure out what they were talking about so I could contribute to the conversation. So you have to build that confidence. And you have to realize too, like the other thing, and all this comes in time too, and you got to give yourself that time too. Like I said, 20 years ago, I was nervous. I was frightened to death. If somebody said something to me, I'd back down. Now, 20 years later, I have the confidence to be able to say, well, no, my opinion matters too. So I want to say it and I want to express my opinion. And I'm not like, I would by no means say I'm a bully, not for sure, but I'd like to express my opinion and have my opinion stated. So I have confidence now into my work. I have confidence into what I'm saying and that sort of thing. But again, a lot of that you build that over time. So definitely give yourself time, but do research and learn. And that's why I always say, like, if someone offers you training, take it. If someone offers you to go to school, if you can do it, if you can make it work, do it. Because that all that builds your confidence. So definitely, for sure. And also develop your leadership skills. And again, from building leadership skills, like again, take courses, read books. If you don't like reading books, do audio books. There's lots of different methodologies, read articles, different things like that. Um, develop your skills, your leadership skills like that. And definitely, like one thing for sure is find a good mentor for sure that you can talk to if you can. And like I said, when I was going through my career, a lot of times, again, my mentor in my field, I wasn't like my mentor was possibly like it was a male mentor because there wasn't a lot of female back then. So definitely consider that for sure. So as long as they're being respectful and considerate of you and they want to see you excel at what you're doing and not try to hold you back, that's when it becomes a problem. So, and again, a female leader is definitely 100% uh, from a female perspective. And advocate for yourself and others. For me, when my staff tell me, like if I'm in meetings and I advocate for my staff, so male, female, doesn't matter to me. As a leader, I advocate for myself and my staff. So if somebody's saying, we're going to make biomedical do XYZ, I want to know why and I want to know what the reasoning is. And are you sure that's where it should be? So you question some things, right? Like, so don't always just assume that because someone's telling you to do it, it's right. And fun fact, this is why I left this till last, is 53% of our biomedical engineering technologists are female in NLHS, Eastern Urban Zone, because we're broken into zones now. So we have a really high rate of biomedical engineering technologists within our department, and mostly female, which is wonderful to see. And like myself, I'm the director, and I have a regional manager, and she's female. So, and a lot of our lead techs within biomedical are actually female, the majority of them. So it's actually kind of really cool to see that, right? And it's actually really nice to see. Again, I love Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie, and being fearless is having a lot of fears, but you jump anyway. So that's one thing I definitely agree with her on for sure, is that even if you're afraid of something, try it. The worst you're going to do is fail, and then you're going to fail fast and you're going to fix it. It's like me, like I'll give you one example of my career trajectory, I guess, was I went in as a manager for HR. I thought that was going to be wonderful. I thought I was going to love it. Anyway, it turns out, and I'm not saying anything against anybody in HR, but I hated it. And what it wasn't a job, but the people were wonderful. We had potlucks on Fridays. Like it was lovely. Like it was, people were beautiful. It was mostly female. Like everybody was wonderful. But the job itself was I had to sit at a desk all day long. And I realized in my career trajectory that that's not for me. I like getting up and going to different sites and saying hi to my staff. And, I don't know what, obviously I sit at my desk quite a bit now as a director, but I still have the autonomy now with my role to go to different sites, to see different things, to take on different projects where myself and my staff are going different places or doing things like that. Right. So I learned like, so, I mean, again, I did it. I took the leap. I failed fast and I fixed it and I got back in like I got back up on the horse and went on again, right? So that's definitely something for sure that you want to consider. And I'm not sure, Alice, I'll leave this for you. I put questions in, but I'm not sure if we're going to do them at the end. So I'll leave that for you.
Thank you. We'll do them at the
Thank you.
end. Appreciate
Perfect. Thank you very much. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer at the end. Thanks.
it. All right, we will jump straight into our second panelist today.
Hello, everyone. So, can you all see my screen? Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, Michael did a short summary of my career trajectory, and I put it back in a chronological order. And so I got my master's degree in medical physics. And so I started the path of the expertise path, because some people will be a leader, but a leader by expertise. And that's what happened to me. So I didn't have a team that I managed. I really had a unique role in project management where I had to uh, convince people and my point of view, and that's a form of leadership. Even if I didn't manage people, I had to get their approval and adhesion. And then I jumped in and went for the radiation safety officer position. And that was a different kind of leadership that I had to do, because I had to raise awareness on the risk of radiation, but also tamper down the fear that people may have about that. So it was really a convincing role. And I felt like I needed some more tools. So just like Christina mentioned earlier, I took on an opportunity to go and learn, and I learned theoretical skills that I was able to transfer into more application. And then I also joined the Anchored coaching program. This is not the typical training. It's really a feminist wellness program, and it's a bunch of women, and it really helps uh, feeling your emotions and navigating through it, because you have to have this kind of emotional plasticity to be able to manage in roles of authority, and where a lot of men will uh, mix up being assertive with being frustrated and being dominant. And that's, if you are uh, okay with who you are, that goes a long way. And then right now, I did another major shift for me is the titles will be a lot similar. I used to be the radiation safety officer, but I was alone. Now I have a team that I manage. So I'm really jumping, and it's a really big shift for me to learn how to lead people. That's a different type of shift. So what is my everyday fuel? What keeps me going every day? Um, every time I see a puzzle, I have this urge to solve it. And the more complex the puzzle is, the more satisfaction I gain from that. And that is something that I am. So I didn't have to learn that skill. It's just something that I do. I see something that's needs fixing, I will try and fix it. I also have the ability to understand quickly other people's needs and translate it into actionable language. And I thought that everyone could do that, but it turns out on the mega project that I worked with, uh, the um, uh, anesthesia team had different perspective on the needs that they have for the gas outlets, and I had to translate that so that the construction team built something that was useful for the end user and eventually for the patient. And so that's an ability that I have, and I kind of figured out that that was kind of my superpower to understand people's need quickly and translate it into actionable language. I also have the drive to getting things organized and planned and eventually done. So that's something that I have. And also, what I saw is that I have the urge to fill the responsibility void. So, what I see is when we're in a meeting and we're discussing an issue, and people will say, "Well, I don't know what's next. What's the I often pick up the ball because someone has to do it, and I have this responsibility. So if you have it in you to be responsible, then I believe that even if you don't see yourself and you may feel the imposter syndrome, you if you have this responsibility motive inside of you, you can be a good leader. So the shift from team management to from the expert path is really a huge shift for me because before I was a solo player. My name was my brand. I had a power of influence over other people, but now it changed completely. I have to take care of my team if I want them to follow me. And I have the power of authority, which is kind of scary to have because you can have so many impact on someone and you don't want to say the wrong thing, but I'm still learning in that. And I think that having this transparency of saying to your team that you are still learning those skills will go a long way, and people will feel heard, and people will feel that it's you're learning too. You can say things that you can regret as long as you fail fast, like Christina said, and you fix what the problem that you well not created, but that was the tension that got higher and something like that. And I'm still struggling. There are a lot of things that I'm struggling with. So my everyday struggle, because I was on a solo path, the expert path, I have trouble delegating. That's normal. The delegation is something that you can learn over time. There's a lot of emotional energy management that I have to do. Like I'm an introvert at birth, at base. So when I have my social battery is not as high as some people, and managing people means that you have to have social interactions with them. So that you have to learn how to manage your energy to be the best person that you want to be. Setting realistic deadlines for myself, that was always a struggle, and limited social skills. I can read people easily, but I don't have the social intelligence to translate that into witty remarks or something that will quickly help someone. So I'm really working on developing that. So I thought that it could be helpful to show you what I do to fill my cup. I have a supportive partner that really helps in your day-to-day life. It could be having a social network that you can share things with, because building relationship can go a long way. And if you're in a leadership role, you can quickly feel the loneliness of that position, and you can't necessarily go to your employee to challenge your thought because you want to be in that position where you lead people, so you don't want to show that you're uh, not weak, but that you're unsure of some there's a lot of uncertainty, and people will react differently to this uncertainty. I also like to listen to podcasts, and as you can see, the list is pretty short because there are actually a lot of things that I wish I did. Running is a form of meditation for me. It helps me process my feelings, journaling, exchanging with peers, setting clear boundaries. That's super important. As a leader, maybe you want to be accessible, but being accessible all the times mean you have no time for yourself, and that can become a problem. And the list goes on and on and on. And in the as a last uh, bit, I wanted to share extra resources that I use. So I have the Feminist Wellness podcast that is really nice to have. I have the Julie Zuo book, Making a Manager, because you're not born a leader, you become one, and it's something that you can learn. Simon Sinek, I love his podcast. It's called A Bit of Optimism. And his last episode was actually, is there a difference in leadership roles when it's based on gender? If it's a woman that's being in a leadership role, what is her challenges? And she came from the military, so it was really a male-dominated field. It's really interesting podcast. And he has a lot of books as well. And also, what I have are pip decks. It's kind of a fun game. It's a deck of cards, 52 cards, where you can have a workshop with your team. So that's really interesting. It's opportunities to learn, and that's what is actually on my to-do to become a better leader, but just not just an expert leader, but a leader of people as well. So that's it for my talk. I didn't want to take much time because I knew we had three panelists. So yeah,
That was awesome. Thank you.
welcome.
And I can recommend that book as well, The Making of a Manager. He's one of the best ones I've read on this topic. And I read a lot of books. Good stuff. Thank you. Well, we'll move straight on to Steph, our final panelist.
I lost my slide here. One second. Is everyone able to see my slides? Oops. Oh,
Yes.
yes. Okay. Sorry, I lost you guys. Was working right before we started this call. Let's see here. Make you down here. Okay, so thank you for having me here. I wish I had had some time to reflect on what Christina and Frédérique have said before putting my presentation together, because there's a lot of things that I feel I can relate to with my experiences and definitely learn from. I'm gonna take a look at those 52 cards to see what techniques and strategies are in there. So my name is Stephanie Liddle. I'm the director of the Biomedical Department at the Heart Institute in Ottawa. So when I was asked to speak about women in STEM, I wanted to know what is a leader? What is leadership? So I've never really thought of myself as striving to be in a leadership role. So I did what we all do. We went on Google and looked at the Oxford Dictionary, the action of leading a group of people, or the state or position of being a leader. To me, I didn't really find that helpful. You're defining leadership with leader and being leading. So did a bit more digging. A leader is a person who leads a group of people. Again, this is why I went into engineering and not English. So went a bit further. What is a lead, or what does it mean to lead? And it's some of the definitions I found were to show the way to a destination, to organize and direct, set a process in motion. So this aligned more with what my understanding of being a leader was. I also came across Eisenhower's definition. Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because they want you to do it. If that's a true definition, I am not the right person for this talk. I really struggle to get a 5-year-old to do things, a 3-year-old to do things. I am definitely not meeting this definition. So I know some people really have a strong desire to be in a leadership position. I was never one of them. I wanted to do interesting and impactful work while maintaining a great work-life balance. I love doing things outside of work. I did not want my career to take over that. So just a little bit about me. I did my undergrad at McMaster University. I was one of the first years of a new program there in electrical and biomedical engineering. I was knowledgeable about many things, but an expert at nothing. When it came to graduation, I was not very confident in my skills as an electrical engineer. I wasn't really interested in traditional electrical engineering work. And then there were no jobs available in Ontario for biomedical engineering, or very few, I'd say, at the time. So what I did, as most people are doing these days, is signed up for more schooling. I, again, wasn't sure where I wanted to go. I knew med school didn't appeal to me, the long hours, the competitiveness. Research I found too narrow. So I came across a clinical engineering program at U of T. It was an opportunity to continue learning a lot. Again, not really become an expert in anything, or at least that's what I thought at the time. But it had internship opportunities to help me narrow down where I want to go. I wasn't quite sure about that, so I decided to go for a bike ride for the summer, rode across Canada, with the idea that if after reflection, I decided it was not for me, I could just turn on south and keep going. I did find that once I hit Newfoundland, St. John's is beautiful, but I was ready to head home. So I went to the clinical engineering master's program at U of T, was able to get a lot of really good experience to help me figure out where I wanted to go. One of the positions was down at Mass General Hospital down in Boston, where I was part of an in-house biomed team, working with the unit managers to implement new technology and work through some of their process issues with technology. I really enjoyed, well, my slide didn't change here. I really enjoyed the project management and clinical interactions of the MGH position, and I was lucky enough that an opportunity came up to let me stay down there. So if you recall, again, I haven't strived to be a leader. I wanted to do interesting and impactful work. I started with smaller projects, lots of monitor and central station upgrades, small unit construction projects, integration projects. I really tried to develop strong relationships with the clinical and research teams. And as I did, I started to hear and see gaps that no one was working on. And I think both our previous speakers identified this, that this is often where opportunities arise. And if you're paying attention to it and it intrigues you, there's often opportunities for leadership there. And so one interesting one that I was involved in was safely pulling continuous patient data from our isolated monitoring network. So I was given the opportunity to research and share solutions and really build my knowledge and my network both inside and outside the biomed department. I must say it's very important to be building your network and sharing knowledge, but I was very careful as I was doing that to do it respectfully and within boundaries. So recognizing that you're filling a gap, you've identified a gap, but you need to understand that you are representing your department, you're representing whoever it is, and make sure that what you're pushing for and striving for is also in alignment with the organization's mission. So very important. I was lucky to have a great leader down there who supported me and was eager to see some of these gaps filled. After a few years, I recognized that I would like to return to Canada to be closer to my family. I realized there were limited clinical engineering jobs in Canada. So I spent a bit of time trying to figure out, how do I stand apart? What do I do to prove my competency and give me the best shot when I came back to Canada? As the previous speakers have said, certification and education is very important. So I worked towards my certification down in the States. And when I got that, I left my position actually down there. I was fortunate enough to be able to take an extended break from work and travel for a number of months and really reflect on where I wanted to go next in my career. At that point, I was still fairly new, but had gained a lot of knowledge down there and had certain ideas of what I wanted to do. So I returned to Canada. I was technically unemployed and homeless. I was lucky, or I am lucky, to have a strongly supportive family. And as Frédérique mentioned, that is key to being able to manage in our environment when we might have a lot of challenges, questions about our authority, and just a lot of stress in our life. So my supportive family and extended family were willing to house us until we could figure out what to do next. I desired to be in Ottawa, again, focusing on interesting and impactful jobs that maintained a good work-life balance. So I started my job search there. I came across an opportunity at the time. So again, I was looking for anything to work at a startup healthcare consulting firm. My job was, or the team was, integrating lab results from Eastern Ontario Labs into the Ontario Laboratory Information System. So many aspects of it I really enjoyed. I worked closely with the hospital labs, improving patient care by enabling easier access to clinical information. So really had the impact that I was hoping for. However, I found the role was limited technically, and this is one of the barriers that I faced. I was not being challenged, and I couldn't break into that area of the company. The opportunities that I came across, so I'm always looking for those gaps where I could use my skills to fill in. The gaps that I was identifying, the company was not in a position or supportive to take that on at that time. And I recognized I wasn't filling my bucket there. It was not for me. There were lots of things I really liked, but there were too many things that were important to me to continue on there. And so I also found that I missed working in the hospital. So I was lucky enough to come across another opportunity at the Heart Institute, where my certification did really help me land a position. It was a 5-year contract as an equipment and technology coordinator, and just breaking ground. We were just breaking ground for a new clinical tower that would move and expand the critical care services from the basement into a 4-story state-of-the-art tower. My roles were really to ensure all medical equipment, furniture and fixtures and systems were reviewed and procured and installed. And I had a budget about $20 million for that. So the aspects of my job that I really liked were meeting with the clinical staff to understand their needs and how their needs had changed since our original proposal. Was able to do a lot of brainstorming around ways that the technology or the environment or the workflow could be improved to really meet their needs. And so I was really finding it a great challenge. I was seeing impact of my work. There's nothing more satisfying than brainstorming a solution with a clinical team, being able to go back to the builders and then seeing it actually implemented and seeing how that's going to improve the work of that clinical team. This is just an example of one of the projects, or one of the parts of that project was working on a hybrid OR. I just think it's a great picture that shows a lot of the different work that went in here, from working with the clinical teams to make sure all the equipment was in the right spot, with conflicts, working with the technical team, everything else. So a collaborative project that was quite technically challenging and interesting. Partway through the expansion project, my director was promoted into a VP role, and I was asked to fill in as a department manager. I'm not going to lie, I had reservations, as I said at the beginning. I wanted interesting and impactful jobs that maintained a good work-life balance. And then the addition to that was where I was respected and could continue my technical growth. I found my availability to happily work away at projects was significantly diminished with other responsibilities like managing the biomed service in the hospital. So from project management, I swerved more into strategizing. And as Frédérique mentioned, this is a fairly large change. So you go from representing yourself to representing a team. And I see Michael on there, so I'm gonna speed up here if I can. So my real challenge was, how do I support the team, continue to make sure we had a strong service in the hospital? And I worked through different strategies with that. I'm still learning. I must say, it's probably a never-ending learning opportunity. So I continue to find different challenges in that. So that brings me back to what is leadership? So again, not quite sure what whether I agree with the definitions I shared before. So to me, being a leader is being a trusted resource that staff can and administrators turn to it for advice, collaborating with peers to achieve great things, and listening to your network for gaps and opportunities, and trying to fill those in and support the group as much as possible. I've come to realize that even though I wasn't striving for leadership throughout my career, it's those aspects that I have been striving for and been building those skills over my career. I'll quickly, this is the last slide, Michael, if you'll let me go through it. Okay, perfect. So the organizers asked me to give advice to anyone who may have, well, I'm sure all of you on the call have ideas of where you want to go. I'll start by saying one of my biggest pieces of advice is consider other people's advice carefully. When I was graduating, the director of my program told me, don't go into clinical engineering, you'll be bored. This was probably accurate 20 years prior when he was in the field, but I definitely say it's been a fulfilling career so far, and I'm glad I did not take his advice. So the first one is understand your career goals. No job is perfect. As we all know, there are aspects of jobs we love and aspects we don't. I found it's most important to reflect on the aspects I most value and recognize there are always aspects that don't meet those. When I started at the Heart Institute, I was doing furniture and fixtures with my equipment. I hated it. I spent way too many hours looking at garbage cans and chairs and stools, but it was part of the job. It was a small part of the job, and I could recognize that there were other spots or other pieces that I really did enjoy, and you take the good and the bad, and you are always weighing to make sure that you're happy with what you're doing. Be open to new possibilities. Like I said, I had reservations accepting the biomed manager position. My boss told me I wouldn't see too many changes. I think both of us know that that isn't quite true. But looking back, I'm glad that I had the opportunity. Finally, give time for reflection. And then trust in yourself. So as you're reflecting, if you find that you're not really meeting those goals of yours, your bucket isn't being filled, have confidence in yourself and really know what makes you happy and go for it, and find those mentors in the community to help you reach it. So that is all I have to say.
That was awesome. I want to thank the three of you once again for your willingness to join us today. I'm so inspired by your stories and your career trajectories. I hope others are as well. I do have to jump off to another meeting, so Becky will close us off today. But thank you.
Yes, and I'll just echo exactly what Alice said. Really fascinating to hear each of your stories, and I'm feeling really inspired to get on with work for the rest of the day. So thank you to all our participants today, and especially thank you to our panelists, as well as our secretariat, Michael and Alice, for doing all of this organization and hosting. Michael, did you have any final comments?
I did want to make a comment. Stephanie, I loved your last slide. And I didn't mean with my head popping up to freak out. As I was joking before, we do that. We pop up. We stay closed for most of the, but we pop up at the end. We feel it's better than the old-fashioned big hook that comes across the screen and like pulls someone off the stage. But I want to point something out, because something that and I want to kind of tie together the first and the last speaker. So Christina mentioned a really exciting stat that 53% of her staff are female. And then she and a number of her leadership are in her organization are female. In my organization, actually, my senior biomed director is female. The two biomedical engineering managers are female in our zone. A good number of the techs are female. I would challenge us with this, because I'm always anyone who speaks with me knows I'm a very kind of family round table, let's discuss it kind of guy. Fantastic percentages. How about our next step be, let's get past the percentages and kind of ask ourselves, why is that a good thing? What can we share? So my little perspective, I'm just little of me. And then other people are, might think that they're small, whether you think it's like imposter syndrome or whatever, realize that you're small, but you're also big. If you choose, and if your family around you, meaning your work family, chooses to value everyone's opinion and viewpoint, consider it, and everyone gets better. So I wonder if we, as our next step, how do we take these wonderful advancements that we see today, so we don't have one single type of voice and we have a really rich set of voices around the table? Now, how do we take that step into tomorrow for a really good, everyone gets listened to, and the result at the end is so much better than we ever could have done before or individually? That's what I would like.
I agree completely with you, Michael. I've been very fortunate not to have many barriers, and barriers faced because of gender, I would say. I've been lucky to have good mentors and
Awesome.
for the most of the time. So I feel in the environment I am in, I don't look at genders. I look for the best person for the job. I look to make sure that everyone is being supported, and that's the voice I'm bringing to the table. I recognize that's not the situation at every organization, and I hope that the more people who hear conversations like this, the more women who end up in leadership roles can support that type of environment. I don't think we need 50-50. I don't think we need 40-60. Again, it's not about numbers. It's about everyone being supported and recognized and being able to work to their potential and fill whatever bucket they have that they want filled. So 100% agree with you.
Love that. It's like, who's the best team that I can put in place to support patients the best?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about gender. I don't care about if I'm purple with yellow spots, like whatever. Are you the best person? And are you the best team member? So that you,
Absolutely.
as a team, work together.
Yeah.
Like that's, if we have more leaders like you, and that's you singular, Stephanie, but that's also you plural, Christina and Frédérique. Hey, our world's a better place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even in our case, like the last three, I think biomeds we hired were male, but it's not because there wasn't female out there. It was just they were the best fit for the team at the time. So agreed 100% for sure. We're just an anomaly for some reason. I don't know why. I can't explain it.
Hey, great talks today. Loved it.
Thanks.
So much.
Becky, before we sign off, did you want to talk about the talk next week?
For sure. Yes, so in March being the Women's History Month, we do have another female presenter next week for the webinar. And I'm just trying to make sure I have the phrasing correct. Pulling up our written bio. So next week, our presenter, oh, sorry, of course I can't pull it up here. You know what? I'm just going to refer everyone to our website. It is posted there. I believe it was populated to our membership as well. But please check the CMBES website so you can get the exact details on what our webinar next week will be. I guess, Michael, if you
I can say
recall
it super
off the top of your
quickly.
head.
Yeah, what I really like, and we started this a couple of years ago with the, hey, you know what? Everyone does Engineering and Women Day or week, whatever. Let's do it properly. Let's do a celebrate Women in Engineering Month. And we started, Adil and I started a couple of years ago, and with McMaster and lots of us working together. And I love that we do that. But we also did it from the very, very get-go. And people remember my face when, oh shoot, what was her name out of Alberta? She gave an amazing talk, First Nation. I love that we've actually managed to have a First Nation speaker, excellent speaker, every single of the last 3 years. This is no exception, because this will leave you gobsmacked. The difference in care simply by color, which is awful. So the next week's talk is about the patient journey mapping, Indigenous patient experiences in the healthcare setting. So, wow, when our speaker a couple of years ago was talking about that, and then the differences, it was just shocking. So the more we educate ourselves, and then the more we can work to have everyone included to have the best care possible. Do not miss this one. This will really, if you haven't seen anything like this before, it'll rock your world as to how we got here today, and let's all learn it. And so we're not going there tomorrow.
Thank you, Michael. And with that, we'll sign off for the day, a few minutes late. Thank you so much to our panelists, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.